I have been probably a consistent drinker for probably since I was like 17 years old. Up until I was a freshman, I was probably a daily, weekly marijuana user. My freshman year, I went out and got stoned in the orchards. It was just a bunch of us at the beginning of freshman year, just having a really good time, getting acclimated to Chico and talking. And by the end of freshman year, we had all been really consistently smoking. It came to the point where it was every day, and I started to get really paranoid a lot of the time, especially living in the residence halls, that we were going to get in trouble. I actually also noticed that one day we couldn't actually find anyone to buy from, and a couple of my friends just got into the worst fight and mood, and they were just awful to be around, to the point where I just went back up to my room and just did homework and didn't really want to be around them anymore. And these were people that I had been really, really close friends with, and they were just so unpleasant. And it got me thinking that really we're arguing and not having fun because we don't have weed, and that appeal lasted for a very limited amount of time.
This is a student here at Chico State who's had an experience not a lot of colleges talk about. But we're going to talk to you about it because it's important, and you're an adult. It's student experiences with alcohol and drug use. You've made it to college. You're making friends and exploring new relationships. Your social life is changing and expanding in new ways. You're seeing for the first time just what kind of an adult you're turning out to be. With everything new you're being exposed to, we want to talk about how to reduce harm from involvement with alcohol, drugs, and some of the social interactions on campus that can be complicated and perhaps even dangerous if you're not heads up and careful. We're not telling you how to be safe. We're telling you how to manage harm. There are some arenas in life where you encounter some type of harm, big or small, no matter what you do. You've got big choices to make. We're going to give you some information about how to reduce your risks and let some students talk about some real experiences that we hope will be of value. We're not trying to scare you. As an adult, which you are, you'll find more things can happen to you than you might have considered when all you intended to do on a Friday night was party with friends. A misstep here literally has the power to destroy your life or someone you know. Mom and Dad are not setting the ground rules very much anymore. You're at Chico State because they want the very best for you, and they trust you to do the right thing. But stuff happens when you're not thinking about consequences. This is probably a good point to lay down a few of the rules for residential housing at Chico State. First, if you live with us in university housing, you cannot drink anywhere on campus, even in the privacy of your room, even if you're over 21. The general rule regarding alcohol is that you get one chance, one strike to mess up. After that, and you're involved in a second alcohol violation, you're done with university housing. The policy on drug use is more serious. Simply, we have zero tolerance for drug use. If you violate the university housing drug policy, you will forfeit the privilege of living on campus after the first offense, but still have the financial obligations of your license agreement. You will also be placed on university disciplinary probation, which will also be noted on your university academic transcript for the duration of the probationary period. Also, your parents may be notified. And one more thing. While medical marijuana is legal in California, it is not legal anywhere on the Chico State campus, at any time, even with a valid 215 card. So, those are the basic rules. The first harm you can reduce is not to drink or do drugs. You'll be avoiding the harm of being found out and possibly losing your place with us.
Well, my experience living in the residence hall started as a good one. I met a lot of good friends. Unfortunately, I was kicked out of the residence halls for drinking and smoking marijuana. And as a result, now I can't even visit the friends that I made inside the residence hall because I'm not allowed inside of them. It eventually caught me. My arm's in a sling because I was intoxicated, and I got separated from my friends down at a party. We all got drunk and we all went and did our separate thing, and instead of meeting back up together at the end of the night, we were so drunk that we didn't care, and everybody just left and did their own thing. I figured I had to get home, so I just decided to start walking home, and I took the most dangerous route possible because I wasn't in my right frame of mind. And walking home on the bike path, I was attacked by 2 people and got my shoulder fractured and dislocated. And I think if I hadn't been drinking, then that probably wouldn't have happened, because I, first of all, wouldn't have lost my friends, and second of all, I would have used better judgment and avoided the bike path, which I already knew was dangerous.
This is an interesting thing in college. Many students, not all, but many students will start out experimenting, trying to see how much they can drink and how they can drink, those kinds of things. But what we notice that students who have a healthy relation to alcohol will quickly diminish excessive drinking. They recognize that the next day they're not feeling very well. For example, over a 3-day holiday, the next school day, we'll often see students coming in with dehydration and vomiting and dizzy spells, things like that, and they're just feeling awful. The students who have a healthy relationship with alcohol will say, you know, I did that a couple times and I really don't enjoy that, and so they're able to, in a mature way, say, this isn't for me. Then there's the other group of students who continue that behavior even though it's a detriment to them. They'll come in again and again with side effects or injuries. We see lots of injuries from alcohol. We'll see unintentional injuries, trip and fall. We saw a student who lacerated his entire face after he had been intoxicated. Even more concerning, we'll see students who will become very violent on alcohol, and they'll get in fights. They'll come in, we see students who come in with fractures, and we'll see also, very sadly, students, usually females, come in who are intoxicated and who have been sexually assaulted. Similarly, drugs are everywhere, and right now in America, there is a huge prescription drug problem with drugs like Vicodin and OxyContin. We've seen a number of students coming in who are sadly addicted to that. They'll start it just for thrill-seeking. I personally have seen more than one student who has used their entire financial aid allocation to buy OxyContin. The same student told me a couple weeks ago that she had sold everything in her life that she could possibly sell, and that she had used all of her financial aid all in the first 2 weeks of the semester.
My experience here at Chico State with drug and alcohol use is pretty much a daily occurrence. Recent experience that I actually had, I met a Chico State student. She was on the north side of Taylor Hall, and unfortunately she was laying down in a fashion that I could tell she wasn't comfortable. I knew something was wrong. She was laying in the curb in the gutter along a bicycle rack, and near her were some bushes. She was all alone. It was roughly 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and she had vomited, so there was vomit on her, in her hair, on her chest, on her shirt. She was breathing, but she didn't know where she was. She could barely talk. She could barely put any words together, and that was an obvious medical aid. The bigger issue is that she allowed herself to drink that much, that quickly, and to get to that level. She had no friends. There was no one around her. If there was an attacker or perpetrator, somebody out there, and they had stumbled upon that scene and stumbled upon her, they could have taken her into the bushes and done what they wanted. No one would have seen it. She would not have been able to remember. Even if she did, she wouldn't have been able to remember who her attacker was or help us try to even catch that attacker. It's those levels of intoxication that worry me the most.
I remember one night, I was about 18, and I'd gone to a party with some friends. When I went out that night, I wasn't really thinking of anything other than having a good time, and like a lot of Chico parties are, friend of a friend met somebody at Duffy's, and we all went to this house.
Okay.
We went there and we were having a good time. I was drinking and I smoked some pot. You know, the night got hazy and hazier and hazier it went on. It tended to, you know, I remember going into a back bedroom. I was feeling dizzy and kind of woozy. I kind of passed out. It was late, but then I woke up and there was a guy on top of me, and
he was having sex with me, and I was unaware of that happening. I was just incapacitated to be able to defend myself, and so I didn't defend myself. When it was over, he just left, and I didn't tell anybody, and not even my friends that I had got out with that night, what had happened. So I went to the party, as a woman that can take care of myself, and I did, all the right things. I did go with friends, but when you're at a party and you're in an unfamiliar place and people are using substances and, so many unforeseen things happen. Even when you know what you're doing with drinking, and even when you know what you're doing with drugs, when you put yourself under the influence, you can't always know what's going to happen.
So, what can you do? You've heard some of the dangers. You've probably had a friend or someone you've met get into some trouble with drinking, drugs, or other social adventures. Eat a full meal. Even better, eat a lot of protein. Protein will slow down alcohol absorption and lower the effects of getting drunk, and help you keep better control. Set a limit and stick to it, both in how much you drink and for how long. A surprising fact, it is okay not to drink. Hanging out with friends at a party was fun when you're 10 and 20. Have a safe ride home. This can be a designated driver or a taxi. Keep an eye on your surroundings. Know who's with you. Keep an eye on your drink. If you think someone's messed with it or it tastes weird, ditch it. Pace yourself by alternating your drinks with water. Avoid drinking games. It's very hard to know how much you've drank until it's way too late. Use the buddy system. Have someone watch out for you, and you watch out for your friends. Leave with the friends you came with, and leave when they leave. Many assaults occur when you're separated from your friends and find yourself in a strange place while intoxicated.
I don't believe anybody ever picked up their first beer expecting to become alcoholic. And I think that drinking and drug use in our country has become romanticized. And I think people think that partaking in these practices might allow them to feel something that they might not feel otherwise. The experiences I've seen students have with alcohol run the gamut, and it's all up to the student, the person, the individual on how they choose to drink. I've known a few students, unfortunately, who are no longer with us, and the stories are similar. The addiction was stronger than the rational thought. Unfortunately, a young man that I was working with, he had left school, he'd gone to rehab for opiate addiction, he'd been clean for 200 days. And then he went out and relapsed one time and used opiates the way he used to do at the height of his addiction. But when you've been clean for a long time, that's too much for your body, your tolerance is down. And the first time he used after being clean for hundreds of days, he passed away. The cost of addiction, alcohol abuse, alcoholism is priceless. Having friends drift away, losing your career, having your professors, faculty, your RAs, people you respect on campus look at you out of the side of their eyes is not what you came to college for. CADEC, the Campus Alcohol and Drug Education Center, our motto is helping students succeed, and I think one thing that students don't realize is that alcohol or drugs can be a barrier to their success.
As an adult, it's smart to hope for the best but prepare for the worst. As such, we've prepared a list of programs and organizations that can help you get back on track if drug or alcohol use begin to pull you off course. These are a few organizations at Chico State which can help, and a few websites with powerful information on helping you navigate the difficult world of drug and alcohol use. Your success at Chico State is of the utmost importance. In closing, we'd like to leave you with some thoughts from our Vice President for Student Affairs.
Hello, I'm Drew Calandrella. I know you've just viewed a lot of information that would be personal and hopefully informative and somewhat challenging for you. While you're here at Chico State, you will be treated as the adult that you are. With adulthood comes freedom. With freedom comes responsibility. All that I ask is that you be mindful of yourself, Be true to who you are, be true to your friends, be true to your family, and be true to your purpose for coming here. That is to get your college degree. At the end of the day, we want you to be mindful that every decision you make impacts your future. As the inscription in Kendall Hall behind me says, today decides tomorrow. Take those 3 words with you through your 4 years at Chico State, and I can assure you, you will get all that comes with the Chico experience, and we will shake hands on commencement stage in 4 years. Welcome to Chico. Now begin your Chico experience.